Whether I'm doing reviews, whether I'm doing coaching sessions, whether I'm just playing the game outright in high rank or low rank, these are 6 common mistakes that I see every single Vanguard player make. By the end of the video, you're going to understand what the mistakes are and how to fix those mistakes so you can become a better Vanguard player. So the first common mistake that I usually see tanks make is just not playing with their team. Playing with your team is crucial. We're just gonna watch this clip and I want you to kind of figure out what's going on and how we can play this better. Then we're gonna review the clip and I'm gonna explain what's happening and how we can improve the situation. This is just a great way to get your mind kind of, you know, that little mental exercise or that mental workout. So we go in, right? We're doing our thing. We're approaching the point. We see Spider-Man and, you know, we're doing our job, just kind of helping the back line here, right? We go in, we end up taking point because we got a few KOs and now we won the fight and we're here. In hindsight, you know, you might notice a few things, but fundamentally, we ended up taking the point, therefore, that's a good thing. Not necessarily. Let's go back and rewatch this one more time. This is something that worked because my team was better than they should have been. I don't know these people, they're random, but my team was better than they should have been. You'll get into a position when you play ranked that sometimes your team is going to be really poor and sometimes you're going to be really good. If they're poor, some of the things that you may do with the good team won't work. And vice versa. If my team were, you know, happened to be poor players in this particular scenario, we would have just lost a fight like that. Why? Well, let's go ahead and see why we would have. So, one thing you never want to do is stack as a team. It's really bad. This is not only is stacking with your team bad, but this is actually just a funneled area, which means that all they have to do is focus on one area. You're not only going to be hit with stray shots, but you're also going to be hit with stray abilities. Never want to do that. I'm going to go to my little whiteboard over here and I'm going to explain the positioning that you generally want to have in a vacuum. Like if it's the perfect world all the time, vacuum. Here's my whiteboard. Look, you guys know I always have a whiteboard in these stages. Y'all know this. All right. So this is pretty much what you want to have. The tank, the DPS, you support. This is what you want if possible. It can be done in a circle, it can be done in an oval, it can be done in a square, it does not matter. But for the most part, you want to have everybody lined up in the perfect world. Your tanks are in the front, your DPS are in the middle, your supports are in the back, if possible. If we take a look at this situation, you'll notice that my support and my DPS are way in the front of it. Like these guys are just trucking it. And we're way in the back. So not only are we funneling, but we're also just out of position because our 2 players decided to be. And that's not bad. You know, they're doing what they want to do, which is fine. It's up to you as a tank to remedy the situation. So how can we remedy this? Well, we need to figure out a way to get to that position where we can make it so it's tank, DPS, and support. Never want to funnel. We already answered this. You don't want to funnel, you don't want to stack, you don't want to walk in the same spot. How can we fix this? By going this way. If we go this way, this makes their team have to focus on multiple angles. Let's look at the Venom's point of view. Okay, well, this was probably a bad point of view, but because he's just all in trees. But look, if I come out here, they have to focus on this. If Moon Knight's up there, they have to focus on that. If someone comes this way, they have to focus on that. If they want to walk this way, they have to focus on that. And then there's another area over there. So essentially, there's like 3 or 4 spots they have to focus on. But if we walk in the same spot, that's only one spot. Not only are we out of position, but they're also just focusing on one location, which means that it's very hard to play the game. The only reason why we won this was because, like I said, our team was a little bit more prepared for the situation. Venom just goes in and dives the back line, and like we all just focus him and he explodes. That just shouldn't have happened. He went way too early. And he didn't play with his team. We just literally said that. He didn't play with his team, and now he's in a bad spot. If we went this way, we could have actually focused on a whole bunch of people over here. We could have been poking them from behind. We could have been poking people over there. On top of that, look where Cloak and Dagger is. If I was right here, she's KO'd. We won the fight off of 1 pick. Gone. All because we went the way that we were supposed to go, and we caused them to have to focus in multiple directions. Play with your team. If you all attack together, you're preventing a lot of bad things from happening. You're preventing your team from getting picked off. You're preventing your team from staggering. If they get picked and like someone staggers and then another person get picked, now we're all staggering on KO timers. You're preventing all this crazy stuff. Also, what if they had another tank that position right here? We're preventing all this nonsense from happening just by moving forward with our team and taking different angles. So first things first, The first thing that I notice are common mistakes, not playing with your team. It is not just about you. You need to learn to adapt to every single teammate that you have and start playing it like that. If you do that, you will win a lot more games than you think. Moving on to the second common mistake that I usually see, this is playing too passive. Now, this is something that Magneto players tend to do a little bit more than others, but all tanks at some point play really passive, and I'll see it just really often with Lofton. Every time I have to do it, let's be honest. So this is what playing passive looks like. We took the point, we won that fight, right? Now we're taking the point. Why are we backing up? Why are we moving backwards? What are we afraid of? Take more of an aggressive stance so that they cannot contest the point. And what we're doing, if we can go up, look, this is how we readjust. If we could go up, right? If we move forward here, then this means that they can only really attack from this location. They're funneling. They're already funneling just because, you know, people make that mistake all the time, but you would force them into one if you were sitting here, which means that they have to figure out a way to attack. And if my team decides to move forward because I'm moving forward, then they just back up and they're in the same spot. And now they're just taking shots from here and we own this spot. They'd have to come up, they'd have to come around. They have to do something a little bit crazy. You know what I mean? And so this is the same thing on Convoy as domination. This is not just a specific thing. So when you're playing passive like this, we'll continue to play the clip. When you're playing passive like this, you allow them to retake the point. You're putting your team in a very poor situation where they could also get picked off. Like, who's even in the front right now? Is Emma even... Okay, so there's Emma. Imagine if my supports weren't playing with Emma and Emma was just by herself right here and she gets picked off. Now we're down a tank. Then what if Loki or Cloak and Dagger gets picked off? Now we're down a healer. We just lost the fight because for some reason I'm in the back. Your HP bar is nice. Playing your life is awesome. But you never want to sit far back like this. You're not a DPS or you're not a support. You are the tank. Move up. Sit in people's faces. Make them not want to contest the point. You see how often they could easily walk up? The only reason why they can't is because my team is playing really well. If my team were poor players and they didn't know how to hold a point, they would just walk right in, take the point, recapture it, we lose. How do we solve this? How do we remedy this? You want to think about taking space. And now a lot of people think taking space is just brute forcing it. And that's how you take space. Just move forward and push them out. That's not how taking space works. Okay, I'm going to give you an example and please work with me because this analogy is off the wall. It's kind of bonkers. So think about taking space like playing checkers. Let's go back to my little whiteboard over here. I'm not going to draw a full checkerboard because I don't really know how many spaces it is, but we're just going to act like, you know, boom, right? That's a checkerboard. Put a little few markers, whatever. If let's just say they had a piece here and I have a piece here, when they move their piece over, I can take that spot that they just had because what this allows me to do is start to make plays, right? If let's just say they had a piece right here, I can jump this piece. If they had one right here, I can jump that piece. Game of checkers, right? You jump diagonally. I can jump that piece. This allows me to make plays. So essentially, when you take space, you're not creating it and forcing it. You're waiting for them to make the mistake of giving you that space. It's up to you to take that space. And when you take that space, you're taking the space in an advantageous position, which allows you to make more plays and start snowballing the game from there. When you start snowballing, that's a whole different story for a whole other video. But when you start snowballing, you actually just start running over teams like it's nothing. That's how you get stomped. And people don't realize that's what's happening. Let's go back and we're going to see what we could do. So look, boom, we took the Namor, we KO'd him, right? Perfect. This is all free for you. I can stand wherever I want. This is free. I can even stand right here if I want, because this could be used as cover. Him using his checkers piece and like, well, his checker piece just got KO'd, but just imagine he moved back where his team is. Him moving away allows me to take this spot. This puts me in an advantageous position because we know no one's over here. We literally seen their entire team. This puts me in an advantageous position to be able to jump over their pieces. By doing so, I KO their pieces, and now we have all that space to play. I didn't do anything. We just took over what they gave us. It's about taking calculated risks. You're not just manhunting and forcing space. That's how you lose. That's how your team doesn't play with you. That's how your team gets picked off. You need to be more calculated with how your space is being taken. If I take this space, do I get anything out of it? A bad taking space would be, let's just say this Emma decides to run forward and just start fighting. Well, actually, let's just say Wolverine is Emma. This is bad taking space. Why? Because like nobody's even prepared for this. You're not even in cover. Like what does this even accomplish? This is bad taking space. Don't do that. Okay. So if we do not take that space that they gave us, like I said before, their team could just come right here and just take it. This would never happen. We would have KO'd their team before their team came back. We would have staggered their death timer or their KO timer, and then we would have just ended up winning that fight then and there. When you're playing to passive, you're giving up your chances to take space and create plays. Taking space is how you create plays as a tank, unless you're playing a dive tank, in which case, obviously, you create space by just diving. But every other tank, to create that space and taking that space is your way of saying, it's my move. What can I get accomplished here? Sometimes it allows you to get KOs. Sometimes it allows your team to follow up so that they can get KOs. But essentially, that's what's happening. So I never want to see you guys, if I'm doing reviews or coaching for you, I never want to see you guys forcing space. All right? We need to think about how we're going to get this space. Yes, let's just say we're the tank and we push her off. She's low HP. This is another form of taking space. Because you're low, you're not contesting me, right? So if you think about it, it's not even just about them not being there. It's about uncontested space. Whether they are there or not, it is uncontested. She can't, if I'm Magneto full HP, what is she gonna do? She has to move. She can't contest it. Whether she's here or not, me taking this space goes uncontested. If she's not here, it's free. If she is here and she's low, I mean, it's still free. She can't do anything. And we're doing the same exact play. So don't just think about, oh, I'm taking space because they're not there. I'm waiting for them to leave. That's not what I'm saying. If they're not there, take the space. If you can contest it by making the move, take the space. Those are the only really two ways to create space. You could do other ways, but like that's the simple way to do it. So again, the second common mistake that I usually see is just players just being too passive. Just a quick side note, I want to briefly say, if you're someone that struggles with creating space, you don't even know the basics of creating space, I already have a video on that. That is what the thumbnail looks like right there. Check it out. I'm going to put a link in the description below as well. This is going to explain what creating space is, what it means. It's going to show with every single type of tank. I highly recommend checking that out if you really do not understand what creating space means or how to do it. It will help you out tremendously. Now, back to the video. Hope you guys are enjoying, and remember to like it. Like the video if you enjoy it. It's going to help other people as well. The more passive you are, the less space you can take. The less space you take, the less your team can play the game. If your team can't play the game, you'll lose the game. That's pretty much how it comes down to, or what it comes down to. The third mistake that I'll commonly see, and this isn't really just a tank issue, but like we're still talking about tank here. The third common mistake that I usually see is not using cover. Tanks feel like if they just jump around in the middle, they like can't get hit. And while it is harder to hit you, you're still a wall. You're still ginormous. It's not that hard to hit something that's the size of a barn. So you need to make sure that you're not just jumping around. You want to use cover. In this clip, let's watch it. Right? We're using cover in a sense, but should they round this corner like Venom, you don't have any cover. You see? Not only does this mean that you can get shot and all that extra nonsense, but also you don't really have a lot of ways to react to the situation. If I were to use cover, yes, I'd be getting hit by Cloak and Dagger, but I wouldn't be getting hit by them. You're using cover to not prevent damage. You're using cover to minimize damage. Yes, cover also prevents damage if they can't hit you, but realistically, there's not a lot of space in this game that allows for you to just not take damage. They have so many ways to approach where you're coming from that you're always going to take damage from someone should they take an angle. However, you're preventing majority of that damage by being in cover, okay? So if I were right here this entire time, right? And Cloak and Dagger, they were trying to approach point, and I'm just doing this boom, boom, boom. I'm accomplishing the same thing that I was accomplishing right here. The same exact thing. I'm just further away and can react to the situation. Boom, boom, boom. Should Cloak and Dagger ult? What am I gonna do? Well, I could just walk back. I have enough time to walk back because they were way back there. So I just walk back and give up that space. I can't contest it. Remember, the space thing is about contesting it. If they aren't there, you don't have to worry about contesting it. And if you have the resource advantage, you can. She just ulted. There's no way we can test this unless I have ultimate myself. So we walk back. and we give them that space. And we're playing cover again, doing the same exact thing that I'm doing right here, but from here in a safer location. Okay? This also signals your entire team, should they be playing with you, it signals them to walk back as well. So here's how it would appear if we played it properly this game, or this particular situation. Okay? Oop. So let's just say I was playing cover and I was using it right here. We would have just destroyed that Loki clone. So let's just say I was using cover right here. Emma would still be probably picked off because she's just like way up there. But that's not our problem, right? We can't play for other players. As soon as she ults, I back off. Me backing off actually could tell our Loki, wherever he is he there? Where is he? I'm just genuinely curious. Okay, so he is right there. It would tell him to probably back up too. So here's how it would look with drawings, because y'all know y'all know. Okay, here's how it looks. If we were chilling right here and Cloak and Dagger decides the ult, what we're gonna do is walk back to this next cover point. You always need to have a better cover location should you need to retreat. Always have that. If I walk back, this is gonna signal her and him to be like, oh, okay, we need to stop and walk back too, which means that they get to better cover locations as well. Prevents their entire team from wiping our team or from getting picks. Yes, we gave space, but we didn't lose the fight. We just gave the space, right? After that, after everything's said and done, we contest and we try to push our way back in. This allows our entire team to continue to play the game and potentially win the fight. So because we didn't play it that way, Emma dies or Emma KOs. What am I like, what is happening, bro? Like, what are you doing? Right? Now, realistically, I wouldn't play like this. This is just, I wanted to help teach you guys. So I wanted to run these scenarios and these common things that I see. This clearly is like, I see this all the time. All right, even in high ranks. Don't even right now. But this is clearly not a good thing. So we're trying to contest. We're like, healers, heal me. What am I gonna, like, where are you going? Where are you even going at this point? That's not a safe location to run to. Your team isn't even there. Your tank just got picked off. However, if we just moved back and our tank got picked off, we wouldn't even be in danger. Our team wouldn't be in danger. We wouldn't even be contesting. We'd be chilling. The second common mistake that I always see, as I said before, is just not using cover. When you use cover, you can play the game at such a, I can't even speak. You can play the game at such a higher level. You can play with a lot more calculation. You can be way more tactical if you just use cover more often and think about where you're going to push next or where you're going to retreat next. Where am I going to push? Where am I going to retreat? If you always have something like that in mind when you play, it's very hard to KO you. And then again, your team just follows up because you're the tank. The tank is the main facilitator. Whatever the tank does, everybody kind of just does it with them. So if you move forward, your team's going to move forward. You move back, your team's going to move back. This is why you end up in a situation where your teams are always picked off, because you start doing things that you shouldn't be doing, or you're doing it way too quickly for them to react. Never do that. All right. So use cover more often. That way you can survive a lot longer. And then you always find a place to retreat, to use cover again, or push forward and then use the cover that way. The fifth most common mistake that I usually see is lack of KO awareness. KO awareness is when you're paying attention to the KO feed and you know which people on your team just got KO'd. Now, you do not need to pay attention to all 5 players and whether or not they get KO'd. Based on your role, there are more important people you need to focus on. So when we're playing Vanguard, arguably the most important people on our team are going to be our healers. We can do a lot even if our DPS get taken out, but if our healers get taken out, most of the time the fight is lost. So in this clip, you're going to notice that even though my healer got KO'd, we continue to still move forward. We don't know where our Loki is, but we know that our healer just got KO'd. Where's our Loki? Oh, would you look at that? Loki's in the back. So if we paid attention before we even walked out, we would have known that Loki already got KO'd. And as we approached this situation, we would have also known our Cloak and Dagger got KO'd. This basically just means we lost the fight already and we should wait. What do? Instead, we walk forward, we end up getting wiped, all because of one little thing of not paying to your KO timer. Now, obviously, once again, if I were playing this for real, I would have backed up. But now we're staggered and we have to wait for me to come back, meaning that it's possible for our team to get picked off once again. And if they do get picked off, we have to wait for them to spawn. So let's just see, does anybody get picked off or did they just wait? Looks like they just waited for us, which is a very, very smart team. If the team were, again, not smart, they're playing poorly, we would have ended up in a situation where we would have just lost the game because everybody kept staggering over and over and over again. So again, the fifth most common mistake that I usually see is lack of KO awareness. If you do not pay attention to that KO feed and which characters are the most important that you need to have on the map, if you don't pay attention to that, you will end up in a situation where you're always getting yourself KO'd and staggering timers, and you do not want that, especially at higher ranks. Moving on to common mistake number 5 is wasting resources. So your healer's resources are not infinite. They don't come out of thin air. They have cooldowns and they have to reload. A lot of players do not play around their healer's cooldowns at all, and they waste a lot of resources. If I do something pretty stupid and my healers have to spend their cooldowns and their bullets basically to focus and heal me when it's not an opportune time, when the time comes where they need to do that and they don't have it, you will lose the fight. So here's an example. Because I'm not using cover, because I'm like taking damage that I don't really need to be taking right now, I could just be using that cover over there on the wall and minimizing the damage that I'm taking, I get low. Because I get low, my healer is forced to throw down her healing bubble and is forced to heal me with her bullets. She used all her cooldowns and her bullets. Within the next few seconds, it's possible that she needs to use it for something else, you know? Luckily, I kind of protected her there. But realistically speaking, if she needed to use it for someone else, we would end up in a situation where that she doesn't have it. Like I said, luckily I protected her from that Iron Fist. But if I wasn't playing Magneto, that Iron Fist and that Venom would have just KO'd her. Now take a look at this clip where the Cloak and Dagger has the abilities to save herself. Although she's technically not in a bad position, technically, the Venom is still able to kind of just go around me and focus her because she's a little bit too close. So she has the abilities that she needs to stay alive. She goes up, comes down, she has her bubble to heal herself, she's chilling. If I were out of position, if I were taking too much damage and she threw her bubble and she also already used her cloak ability where it makes her float, she'd be just a sitting duck. This is why it's very important to not waste resources. This is why people think characters like Cloak and Dagger could be bad, is because of the high cooldown usage. But the cooldowns are not necessarily the bad thing. The bad thing is when they are forced to use it on players who just are out of position a lot or are about to KO repeatedly and they don't have anything to use for themselves. Again, number 5, the common mistake is wasting resources. If you can minimize how many resources you take to keep yourself alive, then the rest of the team can use the resources for themselves and effectively be a way better team for you. Moving on to common mistake 6 is going to be playing selfish. So a lot of tanks, I don't really know when this starts, but it gets to a point in ranked where players become very selfish when they play tanks and they play for themselves and not for their team. You're going to hit a wall if you continue to play like that because you're not going to be able to climb anymore. This is a prime example of playing selfishly. I'm moving in my own direction because I want to try to flank and get some KOs. But I'm the tank. I shouldn't be doing this. What this could lead to, now it's not necessarily a bad thing. This is fine, but I could have done this same exact thing maybe from here, right? And then I could have probably taken this position this way, or I could have dropped down and came around. But the fact that they didn't even see me means that it looks like effectively they don't have a tank on their team. That's a poor thing to do, because should their team collapse on my team and just run them down, they could go up there, they can go that way. Should they just run them down, they KO. Now this isn't, like I said, this isn't really a bad spot. This is actually quite a good spot, but the way that I got here was so selfish. The way that I got here opened my team up to losing a team fight. And this happens so often, it's ridiculous. A lot of the tanks, when they start doing something, and it's not just positioning in weird spots, but when they start doing something, they do not think about the cause and effect. Everything you do has a cause and effect. So the reason why I want to go this way is because I want to get picks. Pretty self-explanatory. It seems like it makes a lot of sense, right? But what's the effect? Well, the effect could be we spot Magneto and everybody just runs in and just KOs me. I have no cover. I have no way to get out. I'm just KO'd, right? Ridiculously just KO'd. The other thing that could happen is they all focus me and maybe one does it. And let's just say it's Spider-Man or it's Iron Fist. Our Cloak and Dagger has to overextend to heal me, which means that she's out in the open and they can easily just come and one-shot her. Now we're down a healer, I'm out of position, we just lost the fight. Whatever you do that causes you to do something, as a tank, you have to make sure that the effect benefits your team in some sort of way. Yes, the effect for you is that I'm in a great position to get picks. Okay. But for the rest of your team, they're out of position. For the rest of the team, they have to do a lot more to help keep you alive. They have to do a lot more to support you. And that's never a good thing. Again, it's not just in a scenario about positioning in weird spots. A lot of times tanks will just like walk forward and start forcing fights. Venom, as an example, will come down, dive, slam down. The cause is I want to get a pick. But again, the effect is there's nobody there who can help you. So effectively, they can't. And that means that they can't heal you. You end up KOing, and now you're just wasting time. Always think about, if I do this, what happens? Is it going to benefit my team or not? This is one of the most common and major mistakes that I see a lot of players make. Doesn't matter high rank, low rank, it does not matter. Tanks do things without thinking about what happens to their team next. If you do stuff like that, you're going to end up in a very bad position where you constantly lose fights, you constantly lose games, and you're not going to be able to figure out why. You think your team sucks. It is not your team. You have to think about them whenever you do anything. I promise you, if you just start thinking about, I'm going to move up to here so I can gain space. Is my team going to be okay? No, because there's a Spider-Man right there and they'd have to drop down, and okay, let's not do that. How can I do this? Okay, what if I come out this way and then I do this? Are they safe? Yeah, because they can also still heal me from this direction, and if they need me, I'm here. It's a totally different story. Once again, these are the most common mistakes that I see Vanguard players make, whether it's in high rank, low rank, when I'm coaching, when I'm doing reviews. All of them do the exact same thing in some shape or form. Some less, some more, but this is the most common mistakes that I see. So if you guys can improve on any of these fronts, you'll become a very, very solid Vanguard player, and you're gonna notice how much more you start winning games. At the end of the day, sometimes this could just be very complicated to implement in your gameplay, and I totally understand. If you guys want free reviews, check out the most recent episode of The Breakdown. I'll put a link in the description below. You guys can check that out. Comment on that first highlighted comment and you guys can get a free review. If you would like coaching, check out that join button down below. Link in the description below if you guys do not see that join button, and you can check out my coaching and whatnot there. And of course, last but not least, make sure you hit that like button if you got something out of this, because if you enjoyed it and you got something out of it, others will too, and we can all become a great player base together. Until next time, you know what I always say. Think you guys are doing what? Popping often. Will often.